Well, you have collected so many free resources, but they don't seem to fit together, and your child isn't actually learning the way you had hoped. Plus, your files are exploding virtually or in real life. But here is a secret. The problem isn't in those printable materials.
No, indeed. We are kicking off a very special series over the next 4 episodes of the month of March is Montessori Material March. What no one will tell you. And today we are focusing on why printables are failing your child.
That's right.
Okay.
This is a problem, I think, that is endemic in the Montessori community. I don't really know where it began, but I guess I have a feeling that like Montessori materials are really cool, and they in many times can be produced very quickly if they are of the same kind. And once people get wind of the coolness of Montessori and they find out that visually what it looks like is a child is sitting down with a set of cards, it feels very accessible to people.
Yeah.
And so the internet has just become abundant, to use a very positive word, abundant with printables.
Yes, the cup runneth over, so to speak, when it comes to printables. But not all printables are created equal, and frankly, you probably don't need as many as you have. So we wanted to give you 3 tips to help you figure out why those printables may not be working in your homeschool environment. Okay.
Yes. So there's so many printables out there. I think that a lot of people just expect too much from them.
So tip number 1, you're expecting too much from those printables.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. I think a lot of Montessori parents, I keep hearing a lot from Montessori parents about how they've tried Montessori and it just didn't work for their child. And then I probe deeper and I'm like, okay, like tell me more about this. So like, where did your Montessori journey start? And they usually end up saying, well, I've downloaded all of the bundles and all of like so many printables and I printed them all out and I sat down and I created a shelf and I put all these printables on the shelf and then my child just didn't want to do any of them.
That's right. I mean, why is that happening? Like, why on earth? I mean, you have so many. Why isn't the magic happening?
I know. It's because the magic isn't in the materials.
That's right. Remember, all materials, whether they're printable or physical, no matter how expensive or fancy or beautiful, they are just tools. And the power is in the method and the use. So you can gather lots and lots of printables or other kinds of materials, but if you're not setting your expectations correctly and understanding that they're just a tool to facilitate the learning, well, you're going to be disappointed by them.
And a lot of parents are disappointed by them. So if this is happening to you and you just have found like you printed out some cards that looked fun, some parts cards especially, I know are very, very popular in the Montessori community and for good reason. They have really
parts
great...
cards are awesome.
Parts cards are awesome. We love them. But a lot of parents will download them, you know, set a whole bunch in front of their kid, you know, show their kid how to do them, and then they're like, my child has no interest. And
Montessori isn't working for us.
In fact, even having taught Montessori in the classroom and being Montessori trained in multiple age levels, when we had our children at home and our oldest was about 3 years old, it was like, okay, like time for parts cards, right? So I got out a set that I had, you know, used in my kindergarten teaching days. I set them out before our oldest and lo and behold, zero interest. And it shocked me because, you know, even though I knew so much about Montessori, and so I'm also not just talking to those of you who don't know a lot about Montessori and you're looking to know more, I'm also talking to those of you who are Montessori trained and have experience in the classroom. Either way, just the cards themselves it can often result in just a lot of disappointment. And so
Yeah, that's
I
right.
do remember, I remember sitting there thinking, how interesting. Maybe parts cards just don't work for my kid. And I remember really thinking about this and just kind of deciding, like, I guess parts cards just
I
aren't
mean, you hear
that.
this all the time, not just about parts cards, but oh, X doesn't work for us. And that can be true. Not every material or lesson
Right.
or approach works for every child because every child is unique. But sometimes when we hear, oh, X just doesn't work for us, what they really mean is, I didn't know how to use the material. I set it out and I thought something magic would happen and it didn't. He was bored.
Or you set out the material at the wrong time.
Yes.
Yeah. And we do have some tips for that. So the first thing is to conquer that expectation. If you're expecting that the printable material is going to do the work for you, and that is itself is the lesson, then your expectations are just too high for the material itself.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about like, let's think about a different material that you might use, a tool that you might use around
A
the house.
hammer.
A hammer. Okay, I was thinking a ruler too.
Oh, well, you were in a classroom, but yeah, I was thinking
really,
of
like a hammer. Yeah, these are both great, right?
Totally.
So let's talk about the hammer. Set a hammer in front of you. What's going to happen?
it's going to collect dust.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how to use the hammer, or maybe I have a sense of how to use the hammer, like it's intuitive enough, or I've seen other people do it, but it's not going to build the fence.
Do you have a picture to hang? Do you know, is there a problem you're trying to fix?
That's right.
None of these things matter if it's just the hammer you're looking at. Like you're like, okay, it's hammer, so all right, don't care. Put it back in the tool chest.
Yeah, so you need the hammer to hang the picture, but the hammer isn't hanging the picture. You are. And it's exactly the same thing with these materials, right?
Yeah.
So when we create materials or when we go and collect them, if we're not putting the mind to them, we're just expecting too much to happen from them because materials are just tools, like hammers are tools and anything else.
And rulers, yeah.
Okay,
So the second,
number 2,
did you want me to say it?
please.
Number 2 is you are confusing quantity with quality.
Oh,
now,
boy.
This is a big one, and maybe it's a little triggering for us in some sense because there are lots and lots of lessons in our curriculum itself, and we got lots of printables.
Oh,
so why
sure.
would we say something like that? Why would we say quantity isn't a good thing?
Because you might need a whole tool set in order to accomplish the jobs around your house, right? You don't just need a hammer, you need a screwdriver and a wrench and whatever it is, depending on what you're trying to do. Now, if you're homeschooling or you're just enriching your child's learning at home, whether you're a full-time homeschooler or not, you're gonna want a full tool belt. But not every one of those tools is going to work for every moment. So you need all of them for when the moment arises. But you don't need 100 hammers.
Right.
You don't need 100 flathead screwdrivers. You need the ones that work. So quantity and quality are not the same. I think this is especially hard for us today because we're so used to, and we've been trained recently. I think we're starting to reject it as a culture, but for quite a while in the last 20 years, 10 years, because of the internet, we have just been overwhelmed, right? So Netflix, what was their gimmick? Like you could get anything and stream it. Or Disney creates their own streaming service. What was their gimmick? Every Disney property ever, right? It's quantity, just lots and lots and lots of stuff. Well, that's all well and good if you like what you have. And that goes the same here too. So if you have 100 coloring sheets, that's not necessarily going to help you if what you need is one parts card.
Yes, very true. So I'm going to give you some examples from the Montessori community. If you go online and type in free Montessori printable, you're going to find not 10, 20, 30, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 10,000. Like you're going to find like 100,000 Montessori printables out there for free. Okay. Like nobody needs that many. And a lot of them are being sold for bottom dollar, which I think lowers everyone's expectation of the value of the materials themselves. And then what happens is this: parents download as many as they can, and I am 100% guilty of this mindset. It's like we have this mindset of the internet where, one, we expect things to get things for free. We have this expectation, don't you think, that we expect to get stuff for free without strings attached. All right, and that mentality means we're not respecting the work that may have gone on behind the material. Like if we had that mentality of like, I expect to get as much as I want for free. And I am 100% guilty of that mentality.
Sure.
A lot of the times I will be trying to learn new things. I'll be seeking out new mentors in some area that I'm not very good at, that I'm trying to learn more about. And I'll be like, nah, I don't want to buy that. Nah, I don't want to buy that. I don't want to spend any money on this. Let's find stuff for free, right? And I'll like type in the word free. And I just go and I just sign up for everyone's list, download everything I can. And what I find is most of the stuff that's out there for free or for bottom dollar price just isn't that great.
Right. Or we collect so much of it, like we can't figure out where it is, or maybe there are some real gems inside of that big pile of stuff, but you got to sort through it.
You really do. And so what I do find is that my Google Drive just like gets to be exploding with these free printables of Montessori or otherwise, and then I forget about this stuff. Just like I forgot about all of those thermoses and other containers that we have in our kitchen cabinet.
Yeah, how many of you have a junk drawer out there, or a junk cabinet, or maybe your whole kitchen is one big junk drawer or something like that? At some point, you've just collected every kind of container in the world without the lid, or maybe just the lid.
Yes.
You have to like cull through that.
Yes, and it maybe at one point you didn't have enough of something, but then at some point you collected too many. This is why decluttering is important. And it really does bring us to our third point, which is that the intention really, really matters, right? So if you are downloading a Montessori printable with a very particular intention, let's say like you know that your child is showing a developmental interest in learning to use scissors, you see them reaching for those scissors often and trying to develop those skills, but you're just giving them a bunch of blank paper and you notice like they could use a little skill building and some guidance in this area. So then like some scissor cutting printables are exactly like the right thing. But say your child is already pretty good with scissor cutting, like you don't need all the free printables that teach scissor cutting skills, right? And I've noticed in a lot of these Montessori packets, like there's a lot of scissor cutting practice out there. Maybe your child doesn't need it, all right? So that doesn't belong in your stash of materials.
That's right.
That's right.
So your third tip here is why are these materials not working? Number 3, you're not starting with the lesson.
Right.
So let's go back to the analogy of the hammer, right? I need to hang a picture. That is my task, right?
It's purposeful.
That is the purpose. That is the lesson, essentially, in our analogy. So I need to go find the tool for it. Now, if I've downloaded a whole lot of stuff, I've got a lot of quantity, potentially there's something out there to find if you can go put your hand on it.
What if you had done your preparation work and you had bought a whole bunch of different sized hammers? You're like, don't we have like 6 hammers up there sometimes? I sorted them recently and I was like, how did we end up with so many hammers?
The closet draws them in.
But then you're left with like, which one do I choose? Sometimes you get analysis paralysis just by looking at the quantity of stuff, right?
That's right. So like I got this great big hammer, now I've got the little hammer, this one has a claw on the end, this one kind of is rounded. So with a hammer, it's kind of straightforward. You could you're just trying to smash something into the wall. Teaching a child, it's a little bit more complicated than hanging a picture. That's why that analysis paralysis can be so overwhelming, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a closet full of hammers and you're trying to hang a picture, well, you have to try and decide which one is right. Or let's change it a little bit. Let's say you're hanging a picture and you don't know what kind of wall you're gonna nail into. Like sometimes you have a screw, sometimes you have a nail, sometimes you have to have one of those special screws that will pull back and hold it against the drywall. Well, you have to have the right tool and you have to know what you're getting into. What is your purpose, your intent? And then you can put all of those things together. So It's great if you have a whole lot of stuff. It's also completely useless if you're not starting with your purpose. So number 3 is you've got to start with the lesson in mind.
Right. And I think this is, I think that this one is really, really important.
Oh,
because
for sure.
Parents who are downloading printables from the internet or from creators, and let's say they're downloading them from great creators and paying for them. That's great. We love teacher, pay teacher, support the teachers, pay people for their work, please. Etsy is another great place to find stuff. Like this is all good. But if you start with the stuff and you don't start with the lesson, you're really just missing the whole point.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's easy to say, well, there's a lot of stuff on the internet and it's all junk. And that is true. There are some low quality things, but that actually isn't the real problem. Like the real problem at the end of the day is there's too much of it. It doesn't have a sense of order. A lot of times we put too much faith in the material itself.
Yep.
It kind of reminds me, I don't know if you ever see, you probably don't see this on Instagram or whatever, but like a young guy will go and buy a Lamborghini or something. He'll like have come into money or something.
Oh no, I don't see this.
Yes, and he'll get in the car, this the supercar, and then he'll immediately like strip the gears or something because he thinks you drive it just like you drive your Chevy. And that is not how it is. Like it is I wouldn't know how to drive it, right? You have to learn how to drive a very special kind of tool. Like this Lamborghini or this sports car, this supercar is like a very special tool. That is exactly the same thing. So if you have a big pile of stuff, there might be some really amazing stuff. Like a Lamborghini's a pretty beautiful thing to have if you know how to drive it and it's useful to you. I'm trying to haul hay. I don't necessarily want a Lamborghini. So you got to start with the lesson.
That family car.
That's right. Start with the lesson. Find the material that is right to teach the lesson, and then know that the magic is happening in the child, not in the material.
That's right.
So that is actually, those are your 3 tips that you kind of want to think about in reverse order.
Yes.
So why aren't those materials working? You expect too much, you confuse quantity with quality, and you're not starting with the lesson. And the solution is start with the lesson, find the thing you need, and then know that the child is doing the work, not the material.
Yeah, your child has a purpose in mind. And they're not necessarily able to articulate that purpose themselves. And so that's why we observe our children and we notice what they're ready for. If we have a good scope and sequence, then we can kind of look ahead and predict what they might be ready for. We never really know until we observe, but if you're following a really good scope and sequence that is development based and Montessori is, then it's probably going to be pretty much on target as far as knowing what they're going to be ready for next. It's just a matter of waiting for that right moment and then being able to jump in with it.
That's right. This is where knowing the planes of development and the other principles of Montessori is critical because it helps you, even though every child is different. Montessori observed, and we've shown again and again through our research and science, that most children follow a certain kind of rhythm of development. Like first plane, second plane, those really do occur. There really is a rhythm, and you can learn what those rhythms are, and then that can help you know what kinds of lessons, what kinds of materials would help those lessons, and be ready when the moment strikes.
Yeah, now let me tell you what the members in our community have shifted to start doing. They are using our Montessori planning cards and working through these lessons in sequence, but not without observing their child first. Of course, like that comes first. But once you've really kind of nailed where your child is in the sequence,
they're like a level 2 and art and a level 4.
You start with the lesson and then you go look for the material to go teach it.
That's right.
Yeah. And the other thing that we do that also keeps us really on track with purpose is why we use an interdisciplinary learning approach, which we also can just call thematic. It's, similar. And when you are choosing to learn about a particular thing and you're modeling this for your child, then you have purpose, then you have intention. And you're really being invested in making things concrete, hands-on for your child, reality-based, and then the printables can support that journey. Oh my gosh, I feel a little tickling down there. What is that? Mr. Bunny. Hi, Mr. Bunny.
Well, I heard you were talking about me.
Well, we were. Your little ears must have been burning.
They were. I see that you were showing a picture that was recently taken.
Yes.
I was so honored to be on this month's
our new
cover.
theme, Cloud.
I do like it.
There you are.
No, that's not me.
Whoa, who's that?
I'm in that green balloon.
You're in this one?
Yeah, that's it.
This one down
Yeah.
here?
That's right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I especially requested the green balloon.
I see you in there. Yeah, now I do see
Yeah,
you.
you see? Yeah, you can see my little ears.
Yes, I do. I see the ears.
Yeah, yeah. Now, this was a big celebration. This was the Bunny Air Balloon reunion. Every year, we get together and we fly air balloons.
Oh, well, what a wonderful tradition.
Yeah. You know why we're very good at it?
Why?
Well, we're full of hot air. Yeah.
I don't know how you come up with these, Mr. Bunny.
Well, what do you mean come up with it? This is a long-eared tradition that we have followed for many, many, many generations.
A long-eared tradition.
That's right. Yeah. Now, my favorite part about being in a hot air balloon is that you're up there with the birds.
Yes.
Yeah. You can look around and there's birds
that
everywhere.
must be amazing.
Yeah, that's right. It is. Now, sometimes the birds look and they get a little nervous. They're like, why?
Oh, right, because these balloons are so big.
Yes, and they're not used to seeing a bunny in them.
No, no.
No.
I mean, I would never think a bunny would be in a hot air balloon. That really would surprise me.
Oh, I know, but it's true. Sometimes we'll look at those birds and we'll say, hello, Mr. Bird. How you doing over there? And you know what the birds will say?
What?
Well, nothing, because birds can't talk. So they'll just go, flap, 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 and then fly away.
It's just flap.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you for putting me on the cover and all my friends.
Well,
I sure
yes.
hope I can appear on the cover again soon.
Absolutely. Yes, I'm sure our friends will notice that you have been there as well.
Oh, yes. Oh, wait. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Mr. Bunny. Well, that was so nice that
It was nice of
join
Mr. Bunny to
us.
join us for all of his fans out there.
It was so nice of you to put him on the cover.
I know.
Just never would have imagined he would appear.
Well, I worked very hard to get the
Yes.
detail correct on him in that green balloon.
You sure did.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I'm sure all of our friends out there will be I spying him in that balloon from now on.
Absolutely. Now, I know we have a great crowd out there. Welcome, everybody. Vidya, thank you for giving us a big happy wave. We're happy to have you with us, and everybody out there in Instagram as well. If you're watching on Instagram and you missed the beginning of this, you can catch us over on YouTube, where we'll have the replay available. Now, if you're really interested in seeing Mr. Bunny up close and personal, get out your little magnifying glass and go grab yourself a copy of Cloud. You can get it with all of our plans. And if you want to see what it's all about, you can get a free trial right now at childoftheredwoods.com/trial. And the theme of the month is Cloud, and it includes this really awesome little cover.
It's very cute.
Oh, Sanctuary Garden says, oh my goodness, I was LOL with Mr. Bunny. Mr. Bunny is hilarious.
I know. Thanks so much for that comment, Joey.
Now, Mr. Bunny has been with us a long time. Now, here's something I will tell, just a little note here. I had an occasion, Mr. Bunny had the occasion to have a special guest appearance this Sunday. And there were a lot of children there. And, well, I was surprised to learn that not all parents have puppets.
Yes, not all parents have puppets.
And so I know this is a little off topic. This is a perfect segue to the materials you need.
All right, I'm just going to sit here and cut these out.
One of the materials you need is a puppet. Go get yourself some puppets. Kids love puppets.
It's true.
And they're really fun. We had puppets. In fact, Mr. Bunny has been with us since our little guys were really little guys. And he's just one of many of the puppets. And it is a fun, fun way. So hopefully Mr. Bunny's appearances are a little inspiring for you to go out and go get your own Mr. Bunny or whatever is speaking to you and bring that to life in your home. That is an awesome material that actually serves a lot of purposes.
It does. I can tell you exactly where the puppet thing started. I know people have been wondering. When I was teaching at a second and third grade school, that was a constructivist mindset. It was like, I like to say it was like Montessori without the Montessori. And I know a lot of people describe unschooling that way. But remember that in the world of education, Maria Montessori taught many people, of course. One of her most well-known students, although most people don't attribute his knowledge to Montessori, is Piaget, who did learn the Montessori method and then expanded upon it or reframed it. And that is it's very well known in the education community. The idea is that it is a constructivist method of education, which means that children are constructing their learning through hands-on experiences.
Yeah.
And so that was his contribution, and it really just came from Maria. But when I was teaching in that classroom, there was this amazing event that the school put together. It was a storytelling festival.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you remember me talking
kind of remember
about
this,
that.
yes.
Yeah. And it was incredible. Friends, if you can pull this off with your homeschooling community, it would be so amazing. What we did was we told every child to tell a story, of their own, or to retell a fairy tale or a folk tale. This is elementary school. But so there was like kindergarten through 8th grade
Something
there.
like that, yeah.
Yeah. And then we invited a whole bunch of storytellers to the school. And we had a puppeteer, and we had a person like an indigenous culture representative come and tell from that perspective. We had folk tellers, like several of them come, and they inspired the children with their storytelling abilities, and the puppeteer was actually quite good.
Yeah,
And that is like this whole emphasis on storytelling and learning the art of telling a tale. I recognized it as being so rich and already built into the Montessori curriculum in lower elementary. And I didn't know that until many years later, after I actually took my lower elementary training and had really studied it and started to implement it, especially at home with our kids, that I really realized why I was resonating so much with this storytelling emphasis. It's just perfectly aligned with what we do in lower L.
Yeah. And I think it's awesome. Like really good puppeteers and storytellers are amazing. But you don't have to be really good at it to even do it on YouTube.
I know.
So it's important. The thing that actually makes it work is just to lean into it and have fun. And I bet your kids will love it too. Okay.
Yes, if you believe you're talking to your puppets, then your children will as well.
That's right. And they will ask you, that's not really a puppet, that's not really a rabbit?
They want to know if they're little.
And you would say yes.
You would always
it is
say
a puppet.
yes.
Yeah, you don't have to pretend, but it doesn't spoil the magic. Okay, so we talked earlier about some of the ways that you can identify why those printable materials you've been grabbing are not working for you at home or working for you in your learning. And we gave you some good tips for that. Now, we wanted to show off a material that's in our latest pack to kind of help explain this in a little more detail. I mentioned this earlier when we had Mr. Bunny come by. Cloud is our theme of the month. You can get that over on our website, childoftheredwoods.com. It's included in every plan. Remember, you can also try it out if you haven't experienced Child of the Redwoods yet. You can go over there and get our 7-day free trial, which would include the theme of the month, which is cloud. Now, cloud is not just about clouds. It's about all kinds of weather and weather-related things, but of course, it does include a study of clouds. And the activity we wanted to highlight here is a really good one because you see a lot of this kind of material out there in the wild, like lots and lots and lots of these for free, and those are classifying cards.
Free or for purchase, either
Free
one.
or for purchase, right. And again, I want to reiterate, it's not the price. You can get really great stuff that costs nothing. You can make your own stuff and it can be awesome. You can spend a lot of money and get junk, right? So that's where the discerning eye and remembering those 3 tips comes into play. Okay, but classified cards are a classic Montessori material. It's something that we associate. It's exactly the kind of thing that a lot of parents will grab, have a bunch of, and then set before the child, and they'll be like, oh, this is going to be amazing, and then it doesn't work.
What most people know about are the 3-part cards.
That's right.
Those are probably the most popular types of cards that you will see in the Montessori community and hear about and see parents using.
And if you aren't familiar, the 3-part card has a picture with the word underneath it, and then it'll have a picture by itself and the word by itself, and you will match them together. And they're related to the 4-part card, which adds an information card to it. So these are classic materials. Now this is slightly different. This is a classifying card set, and these are all types of clouds, okay? And we're going to, there's not really like a figuring it out in terms of the...
You could make these into 3-part cards if
Sure.
you wanted to, just by printing a couple sets of those.
Yeah, you could have a set here, and then you could cut the bottom off. That would make this a 3-part card. And in fact, then if you were to match it to this here, then that would make a 4-part card. But these are not designed to be 4-part or 3-part cards.
Honestly, David, if children have too many, if they are just presented with 3-part cards all the time, they stop becoming fun and interesting, and they just become kind of boring and routine.
That's right.
So we really like to mix up the types of cards that we're presenting inside our themes.
That's right.
Yeah. All right, well, let's go to the lesson and take a look at, we'll kind of revisit our 3 tips from earlier, and we'll take a look at how it works actually in practice.
That's right.
Okay, so these are, let's see, what is the name of this lesson?
Types of clouds.
So let me look. It's probably this one, I Spy Different Clouds,
Yes.
which would be on page 18.
Okay.
All right.
Yep, you're there. You're there. Nope.
One more. Back. There we go. Okay, perfect. All right. And do we do a top-down?
Yeah, we can do a top-down. Let's see. Let's see. Da, 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 da.
Okay. Perfect. So here we are. We have this. It's called I Spy Different Clouds is actually the lesson. And so if you remember from tip 3, we were talking about making sure that you start with the lesson and then you choose a tool to give that lesson with. And so that is why in our curriculum, we write these lessons for you and we tell you where they're coming from in the curriculum. Yeah, I saw you pointing to physical science.
All right, so in teacher speak, we would say this is the learning objective. So we always include one here. So for example, the I Spy Different Clouds. The objective is your child is learning the names of different cloud types, practicing observation and classification, and understanding weather patterns.
Right. So all of the lessons inside of our thematic packets, they actually go to, like they can be found in our curriculum.
Yeah, the foundational curriculum.
Yes. Okay.
That's right. So
that's the purpose. You've got like, here's what your child is going to be learning. This is the reason that we want to do this. And now we need to make sure that we're going to print this stuff out ahead of time. Honestly, friends, as a homeschooling parent, I personally find it more convenient to go and just like 15 minutes before I give the lesson or start the work cycle to go ahead and just print out the materials that day and cut them out.
Well, you literally just cut these while we were prepping.
It didn't take very much time, right? It took me, 2 minutes to cut them out? I also will tell you another secret. I do not laminate. And I know that that might surprise a lot of people who are new to Montessori. A Montessorian who doesn't have a laminating machine, I laminated in the classroom. And that is because I wanted the materials to last for many, many years. And in fact, the materials that I have laminated have lasted, when did we start teaching in the classroom? The year 2000?
A long time ago, yeah.
Yeah, so like since that's been what, 25 years. Encase something in plastic and it will last you 25 years and still look
Sadly,
new.
it'll last for all time.
Right? Sadly, I know. So the materials that I still have laminated, it's not wrong to laminate, but pick it wisely.
Well, this is actually a kind of a related note that goes with the idea of like picking the material that's right for the job. One of the reasons that you can DIY so much is that materials that you buy that are made for the classroom are made to hold up for a long time under many, many, many children's fingers. And that's not the case. Even if you have a large family, you have 5 kids that you're homeschooling, it just does not compare in terms of the amount of use over time that a classroom material will get.
My goodness, unless you have a lot of kids and you're really...
Even if you have a lot of kids. But yeah, so you can get away with
use a good color printer
Yeah.
and cardstock, or this is just heavy paper. This is
we bought this at Costco, I think.
yeah,
actually.
honestly, it's not the heaviest paper, and it's not the lightest paper either. That 20-pound paper is just too thin, I find, for cards. Use at least 24-pound paper and above.
Yeah, but again, like everything else in our house, it came from Costco, so you can find this stuff all over the place.
Yes.
And don't spend too much. Okay.
Yep.
So
All
now
right.
you're going to print out your materials, but after you've decided that you want to give this lesson, or you're looking for signs of readiness, or let's say you're doing a thematic approach and maybe you're in our community, or your kid is just interested in weather and you're going to go get that material.
Right.
And one of the things you want to teach them is how to identify clouds in the sky. And in order to do that, we want to show them pictures of the clouds
Right.
and the names and help them start to recognize those. Okay, so
For all of these, we have directions for getting set.
Yeah.
And I want to draw attention actually to this little step right here. The first step is to print them out and cut them. But a lot of people actually skip the following too. And number two is to familiarize yourself with the cards themselves. And this is the kind of basic preparation that you can literally do 15 minutes before. You know, you don't have to spend all of Saturday trying to memorize the names of all of these clouds. Just read through them. And with all of our materials, as much as possible, we give you lots of information about it. So really you should take these information cards and read through them just so that you are aware. Lay out the cards so that you know what goes with what. And again, it's very easy to tell. We put in red the name so that it really draws your attention to it. So, you know, it's not rocket science, but a lot of people do skip that step. And
now
the third
yeah, go ahead, sorry.
is also a really important, and it speaks to the purpose of these cards. And it says, if possible, plan a time to go outside and observe the clouds in the sky.
Yep.
All right. And this is important. It says comparing them to the cards. This is an important part of giving the lesson. Because it takes something that is very abstract and made of paper and maybe in some cases not even that interesting, and it makes it suddenly very real, very purposeful, and fascinating.
Yeah, I was thinking about the cirrocumulus because you see these clouds all the time. Now, again, in that second step, you're going to have looked up what those are. If you don't know offhand, you can do your research, or you can use
you have everything.
You're just going to find your card here. Your child may or may not use the card, depending on how you give the lesson. The standard lesson does not require you to use these information cards at all. But it tells you that they are thin, patchy clouds with ripples. They're very high up and indicate fair but cold weather or hurricanes in tropical regions. So here you've got a nice picture of it. Let me see. I guess we're top down. So you got a nice picture of it. And everybody has seen these clouds at some point, I'm sure.
Yes.
But the picture is fine. What you want to do, to your point, is you want to start looking for those clouds and pointing them out to yourself and to your child and connecting the dots, because the picture is fine, but it's when you see them way up high, or you've helped them understand that these are way, 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 way high as airplanes high, then it becomes really, really exciting and interesting. Okay, so we've got our cards, we've printed them out, we've studied, sorted, etc., etc. Now what are we going to do?
So the lessons that we provide for you are scripted. It's not wrong to read a lesson as you're giving it to your kids' friends. So let's kind of cancel that idea. There's this perpetuated idea in Montessori that you have to memorize every single lesson.
Impossible.
In full before you give it to your child. And I'm just going to tell you, most teachers at least keep like little index cards next to them while they're presenting, or their notes. How many people have you seen giving a speech completely without any notes or an outline or a PowerPoint to guide them at all? Very few. It's probably a speech that they have practiced over and over and over and over. I mean, even the speeches that you see on TV are mostly with a teleprompter.
Oh, and all of them now.
All of them, yeah. Yeah, so it's okay to use your notes. We write this for you to give you ideas and to help guide you in the way to teach the lesson. But just make sure that you are reading through it in a way that feels good and natural to you. It is okay to deviate from the script. It's also okay to rely on the script while you are learning how to teach Montessori lessons.
That's right.
All right.
Tedley Ever After says, yes, taking the cloud cards outside over the weekend made all the difference in bringing the lesson to life. Tedley is one of our members. So nice to have you with us. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I don't know if you saw that post with Theo and the cloud, I Spy cloud.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Did you see
yeah,
that one?
that's right.
So and those were used. Those were a way to really make those cloud pictures of the cards come to life. And I love it when I see our members being creative with the clouds. You don't just, they're not just something to have as a layout. You could keep a set of these in your car, just put them in the glove box, or I was going to say sometimes there's like a little compartment.
Like a little map compartment or something.
So it's like a little, or in the back of like that little seat.
Yeah, the little netting or whatever.
The little netting in the seat. Like this is a great thing to kind of keep around with you when you're exploring. And there's also all kinds of creative ways that you could display it. Often our members will put these, after they use the cards on a rug layout, like we're suggesting here, they will take the cards and they'll actually make a display with them on the wall. And what a cool demonstration that would be, in particular with these. Our lesson here is that we've got clouds that are high, clouds that are mid-level, and clouds that are low. How fun would it be to take your cards and literally put them on the wall, up high, in the middle, down low, and also to pretend to be these clouds, How fun would it be to make it tactile, or charade style,
that'd be fun.
Like what if you were to just play with it like this? I know, what is this? The cumulonimbus. How to represent it, right? So the cards are a tool. The lesson is what's important. And no child is going to be interested, or it's going to be really rare. I guess I wouldn't say no child, but it is rare to find a child that is just obsessed with classified cards for the sake of classified cards.
Yeah, I mean, even kids who get obsessed with things like dinosaurs, it comes from somewhere. Something has piqued their interest.
So they can be very cool, be creative with them. This goes for any printable material that you find online. You can download things, and I've seen all kinds of really cute printables out there that I look at, I'm like, in the right context with the right lesson, these would just be stellar. But completely out of context, it's likely to be a fail.
Totally. Yeah, you're not going to get the results you want. Yeah. And even if you, I think there's a trick when it comes to free, right? Yeah. You may think, well, I didn't pay anything for it. You did. You paid in your time, your effort, the lost opportunity with the child. There is a cost, right? Even if it's not a financial cost. So it's important to come with that right mindset so that you take advantage of the learning opportunities that are in front of you. They are fleeting. Unfortunately, a child grows really fast.
That's right.
So they won't be within a certain age and plane of development for very long. So these are fun. This is a great activity. So what are the tips when it comes to cards or other things? Well,
don't hoard them.
Don't hoard them. Yeah. If you're going to download it, use it.
Yes, and in our membership, we have so many printable materials for you, and we really encourage our members. I know it's really, really tempting because we come from that mindset of scarcity. Many of us do come from that mindset of scarcity when it comes to these educational materials. I mean, it's a thing for homeschoolers. Homeschoolers, we tend to come from that mindset of scarcity where we feel like we have to have all of the curriculum resources. I feel it. I see you doing it. So try to resist that urge. In our community, we try to encourage our members to just know that it's there. Like, it's there for you. If you're a member of the complete curriculum, you've got how many full
3,000.
complete 3,000, over 3,000 lessons, but how many complete themes are now
Oh,
available?
45?
45. No one's going to teach all of that all at once.
No, and you shouldn't try.
And you shouldn't try. So you don't need to just go download every single thing. If you're in our complete curriculum, just know that it's there. All right, know that it's there. Go download what you need to teach that week, or that month. And not to just feel like you have to hoard everything.
That's
okay,
right.
so I know that it is going to be a mindset shift for a lot of parents to shift from feeling like your cup is full and you have enough right now. Might just help to look at what you are doing, just that week and say like, okay, does my child have what they need right now, this week?
That's right.
And it goes the same with the printable, with the hands-on Montessori materials that we'll talk about next week.
Yeah.
You don't have to have everything at once. And I think a lot of us just think that we do.
Yeah.
But if we can overcome that, then you're just going to be so much easier. You're going to feel better. It's going to be a better teaching and learning experience for you and your child.
Okay, so this actually brings us to a second don't do it.
Yeah.
Which is don't laminate them and then just bring them out at random.
Right.
Create the context, look for the learning experience.
Right.
And then go grab that tool.
Yes. I'm not going to tell you not to laminate.
Do as you wish.
Do as you wish, but do it with intention. Okay.
Because I think
and mindfulness.
Yeah, because when people laminate, I think for us what that sometimes means is I'm going to laminate it and I'm going to store it for safekeeping.
Right.
And that's not really what you want to do. You want to be looking for that teachable moment when the child is engaged or interested, or you're wanting to guide them through it. Let's say you're going to take a trip to Florida. Yeah, we live here in California. We don't have, in this part of California, we don't have the same kinds of storms.
I think you're looking for that.
Yeah. So I'm going to go to Florida. That's where you're going to see, or Texas, somewhere. This is where you're going to see a great big storm like this from time to time. That would be or you're going to see different kinds of clouds.
Yes.
So you're going to take a trip. Maybe that's a great time to bring that. It's not in that case, it's context. You're bringing the context to life. So don't just print them and laminate them and store them away for a rainy day.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I also find our members will work with a certain set of cards, and maybe it's just not the most miraculous experience in the moment. But then, like, after they've just given that lesson, they then put them away and store them, and then their child will make that connection later. So
Yes.
maybe a few weeks later or a few months later, their child would be like, look, I see a cumulus cloud. And the parent will be like, wait,
you were listening? Did you? I didn't think you liked that lesson at all.
Right, I thought you were bored, and I put those cards away. And then they'll go and get those cards
That's
again.
right.
And you can do that too. I recommend just like simplify your organizational system. A simple set of white envelopes will work for most printable card materials. Ours are small and, I think pretty good size for that kind of thing. Larger envelopes work too. If you got the ones that were sized for invitations, you'd probably be good to go.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
The third don't do is don't isolate the concept. Don't just...
Now this one is confusing because we do say to isolate the concept in Montessori.
Right. Because in that case, what we're talking about is isolating the quality of something. But in this case, what we mean is don't just say, okay, now we're going to study clouds, and now we're going to study this other thing. And this is a gateway. Like the idea, and Aubrey just gave a great example.
I think what you're talking about is interdisciplinary learning.
Exactly. So this can spark an interest. It can reinforce a sparked interest. So what you're going to do is you're going to use your cards, and if it really hits the spot, you're going to go check out books. You're going to do on clouds. You're going to go do other activities related to clouds. You're going to do experiments.
Yeah.
You're going to go outside and draw them. You're going to study them. Gemma says it would be fun to display them on the window, right? You're going to decorate your space with the stuff. right? So it's like a spark. It's a
But
seed.
it's like right there, and then you're looking in the sky. And you know what's going to make that even a better experience for your child is if you were to daily go review the cards and then you're learning them and you're looking in the sky. That kind of modeling is going to go a lot further.
Yeah, so don't just like one and done, right? You try it out. You know, if the child's not getting into it at that moment, try something different. Like Aubrey said, they may come back around and may speak to them later. In that case, you can go grab that again. But don't just like, okay, well, I tried the one set of cards and it didn't work. Like, you have to build the interest. You're planting a seed, and like any seed, it takes care. It has to be watered. It needs the right light, it needs sun, whatever heat, all the sorts of things. That's exactly how learning works. So don't hoard them. Don't just laminate them and then pull them out at random. And don't think that you can just do the one thing without trying to tie it to something else and get results.
Oh no, so many don'ts.
Yes, oh no,
Remember.
but there are some do's as well. So do make them hands-on. So how would you make these cards hands-on?
In Cloud, we actually have an experiment in
Oh,
here.
that's true. That's
yeah, that's a great way to make them hands-on. You can also do art activities with them. That makes them hands-on. And I think the other thing that just really makes them hands-on is clouds actually can be hands-on. If you can find some fog, or maybe some fog will
Sometimes
come.
you can go to a science museum and they'll have one of those machines that
One
make
of those
the fog.
machines. Yes, one of our members mentioned that recently. And also, just like being outside and noticing the clouds in the sky. I mean, I know you're not using your hand, like you can't use your hands to like touch the clouds, but you're having sensory.
But you can do, like even exhaling on your hand, right? It's heat, there's water vapor. I mean, that's the essence of a cloud. So you can recreate the concept of cloud
Right.
with your own body very simply. And that anything that you can do to make that hands-on experience come to life will really amplify. So
Yes.
another thing you want to do that's related.
Oh, and that I already said was
Is
engaging your
engage the
senses.
senses, yeah.
Yes.
So for example,
The hands are just one sense,
Yes,
right?
that's
That
right.
the touching with the hands, but there are all kinds of senses that can be engaged with clouds.
yeah, so you can imagine the coolness of if it's foggy or dewy or something, and sometimes you feel the cloud come over your body. You know, I think a lot of times we imagine clouds as like fluffy, like cotton.
I know. That's
And
how
not
they are
actu-
in my dreams.
I know, but that's not actually how they feel. But you could imagine like trying to decipher what that feels like, or smell. Would a cloud have an odor? Like, what would a cloud smell like? And then maybe going around and trying to decide. Like, so there's things that you can do to research or to stimulate the senses that can be really enlivening to the project, right? It takes it from a very abstract kind of picture to something very tangible. And that's especially important with the little guys, the 6 and under set. Okay.
So finally, we want to tie this lesson and this experience to real things in your life. So obviously, looking out the window, seeing the clouds, but also talking about water vapor and witnessing it like in your kitchen when you're boiling some water. I'm about
That's
to go
right.
and steam some asparagus here when we get off. And there's going to be steam, and it's going to be interesting. This is actually one of the lessons that's in the physical science unit for our lower elementary when exploring the whole idea of like how the universe came to be, that first great lesson. But it's also just a basic physical science phenomenon that happens here on Earth. And even your little ones, you don't have to wait until your child is elementary age to be exploring this or to use higher level vocabulary like water vapor with them.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's right.
So if you can find ways to experience it, and this is true too with like, you can do a Parts of the Frog parts card set, but like, what's going to make it really real and cool is seeing a frog, right?
Yeah.
So it goes with just about any principle that you can think of that works with Montessori.
And sometimes you have to be creative. I know one time we did parts of a tardigrade, and you're not going to be able to see a tardigrade.
Oh, actually, you can see a tardigrade.
Oh, tell us.
Under a microscope.
Right. I meant like here's my tardigrade, but you could have a model of one, or you could see one in a
Or you
microscope.
can go collect some pond water like our members did.
Uh-huh.
Now, it might be hard to find a tardigrade. You might have to take different samples of moss and stuff, and there's a very elementary type of activity, although you can do that one with little ones as well. Yes, that is a possibility.
Ooh.
But I know not everything is going to be perfectly tangible. Let's say you were studying electrons or something that's not something that you can hold and feel and see. To my knowledge, right? It's going to be very, very tiny.
But the sense of touch
and
isn't, as you said, it's not the only. So when we have a prism, it can help us see the visible light spectrum, even though that's not something we can hold. So there are other ways to bring to life these concepts, even if they're very abstract or very tiny. So make it real, engage the senses, and get all of those gross motor and those fine motor skills involved, and the lesson will be a hit, or more likely to be a hit at least. We have a comment. Lisa says it's, very nice. She says it's a very user-friendly, meaning the material.
Oh, thank you.
And we love the lessons. Thank you, Lisa. Very nice of you. And then Kim Sing Song says, it's been a minute for me. Your setup is so posh. Whoa, posh is it? Thank you. It is colorful.
It is. I know. If you're watching on Instagram, we have this lovely dual setup that we got going just 6 months ago, right? Or has it been a year?
It's been about a year.
I guess it's been about a year. So,
well, it's great to have. Thank you for comments and for joining us. If you'd like to know more about our work, as always, you can head over to childoftheredwoods.com. They have a chat feature there as well where you can reach out to us. We can give you a quick tour of the material. You can download your own copy of Cloud to try it out in your home and see how the context bringing context to materials makes the difference in your own home. If you would like to email us, you can at hello@childoftheredwoods.com, or you can leave a comment here on YouTube or in Instagram.
And please know if you have any questions, we are totally accessible to you. There's lots of ways to reach out. DM us, email us. We would love to help you make sure that Montessori is working for your family.
Absolutely.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Everybody have a great day.